What happens when you meet your old friend or when your best horror movie from the 2000s is revived back from the grave? That is a feeling I had watching the Final Destination teaser trailer. The last entry of the franchise first came out in 2011. I cannot recollect what was happening at that time. Apart from Obama was president, the price of eggs were low. I should have invested in Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Bitcoin, things I regret I never did. Final Destination was a hit with casual viewers when it first came out. Many fans will claim it is a horror, but it's really not. It's like seeing Mobius is part of a superhero genre. The premise was simple to understand. The characters did not need to be fleshed out like most movies. The movie-going audience wanted to see the death of their character, and they will call it a night. The producers as well as the writers knew very well the movie could be milked by the studio for a very long time without feeling redundant. Series actor Tony Todd wanted to do more Final Destination movies, but due to low box office revenue of the 2011 film,
we're broke.
the franchise was sent to the grave, never to return. The studio invested $40 million to make the last installment. It grossed a staggering $157 million, which was the second highest grossing film in the franchise. The Final Destination 6 coming this year is a gamble. Do people still remember how good the franchise used to be, or will they watch once it gets released on HBO Max? The Final Destination follows 3 guidelines in its storylines. They recycle the same story arc over and over again in all of their entries. The first part of every movie is to introduce all the characters vital to the story. Through the eyes of the lead, other cast members are given exposure. Some of their traits and personalities presented to the audience make them feel like real-life human beings. The second is the vision. The main character gets a vision of already established characters meeting their deaths. The deaths are usually different from each other. It's kind of poetic justice. The personality dictates their deaths. The main lead is always conflicted about the vision and soon learns later that the visions are real-life events that haven't happened. The entire collective cast have to work together to find different ways of escaping their respective deaths. The third is when the visions actually come true. This is the best part that most people love about Final Destination, and why it was a mistake failing to release more after its last entry. Casual and hardcore fans get a chance to theorize on the next character that will die, or the type of death. These are the 3 steps that make Final Destination horror classics up there with the likes of Mirrors, It, and Dark. The Final Destination is part of the forgotten horrors that people from all walks of life used to relate. The idea of death coming from all of us is something that viewers need to be reminded. The movie posed a question to the audience about the eventualities of death, spending time wisely on earth, taking advantage of every opportunity, living like there's no other tomorrow, and always being ready for its return. It reinforced the values of asking closure, making amends, agreeing to one's mistake. With virtually the same plot, writers did everything to introduce exciting characters that most people would go behind. The writers gave the best death scenes in all of movie and television. The concept of death as this larger-than-life, faceless, bodiless is something that was clearly thought out. The Final Destination movies are not easily forgotten like other genres of horror. It offers something unique. The idea of death as a villain is universal. Having few characters saves time, and the fact that the last one came out in 2011 will really hurt it. Most of its diehard fans have already grown up. It is easy to see what the writers are actually going for. It is their dream to replicate the success they had during the 2000s. They obviously regret taking a decade for another sequel to be made. The franchise had a beloved fanbase that would go to see the movie regardless of the quality. Major cast members like Tony Todd was ready to come back to the franchise anytime he was needed. The cost of making the franchise was less than most of the flops made by Warner Brothers. The studio spent billions on DC in the entirety of the 2010s to catch up with Marvel. How is that going for them? How is it? They are still struggling to catch up to them even now. The revenue made by Final Destination justified its cost. In 2025, the movie landscape has dramatically changed. New releases like Wicked, Barbie, Oppenheimer are celebrated, while movies from past era are ignored. Audiences are craving new ideas, concepts, stories, and characters. Cash grabs do not work in the new landscape unless you are Disney. Many people are not going to theaters anymore like they used to 20 years ago. Warner Brothers should have capitalized the moment while they still could. When the fans were not spoiled with other entertainment mediums, when streaming services did not exist, when tickets did not cost $100. Final Destination is not without its flaws. The first is that it takes such a very long time introducing the number of characters necessary for the story. It feels redundant since everyone knows they will all perish in a couple of minutes before their death scenes, which I think is the best part of the film. It takes too freaking long differentiating the morals, motives, and connections with each other. In some other entries, like the first one, it takes 40 minutes for the movie to start entertaining the fans. The audience waits for a very long time to watch what they really wanted to watch. It is not like audience will form an emotional attachment with the characters at such a short amount of time. That level of patience may not be possible nowadays due to numerous distractions. In some instances, the major characters are not that entertaining to watch. Few of them in the trilogy are actually worthy of being given screen time. The soundtrack are not any of that special. It occurs during most parts of the movie. When death arrives to destroy respective characters, different songs appear instead of a unifying theme song that could make it entertaining. The movie should stop with the explanation on death on all its entries. A lot of meaningless expositions increases the runtime of the film. The movie should not be as long as it is. Death should be mysterious, causing fear to all its prey characters. That is the approach most people want the studio to take. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Did you love the Final Destination? Will you watch all the previous entry before watching the sixth installment? I cannot wait to hear your thoughts.